stunning looks than swift.
What a statement from the barest of margins to the biggest of margins. New World Cup, same old New Zealand, and they have humbled the defending champions and hammered them by 9 wickets. That is some start to a side which had no Williamson, no Southey, no Ferguson, no Sodhi, no problem. Well done to Rachin Ravindra and Devon Conway, who registered World Cup hundreds on their World Cup debut. That gives us plenty to talk about on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday in the company of Anil Kumble and Dale Steyn, both of whom rightly thought this would be a close game and did not expect this kind of hammering. What does it tell us about New Zealand, Anil?
Oh, brilliant batting by these two left-handers. I mean, Rachin Ravindra showed what he's capable of in that warm-up game when he opened the batting, but this was very special. On his World Cup debut against the defending champions, to bat the way he did was outstanding. I mean, you know, these two, Conway is expected. I mean, I did call out Conway as one of the top run getters in this World Cup because as an opener you have better opportunities, but he was brilliant. I mean, he's a good player of spin, but this was my first sort of treat of Rachin Ravindra. He looks a bit like Yuvraj Singh, the young Yuvraj Singh.
Wow, high praise that.
No, in his flow. I mean,
he's very good to look at. Very good, pleasant to watch.
Very pleasant and very elegant. So yeah, wonderful innings.
Yeah, this was supposed to be the upset result, and yet because it's New Zealand, you could almost say, yeah, well, this is not a surprise. New Zealand do these things, don't they?
Absolutely. And I think England do these things to themselves too. You know, it's like when you try and break it down, and you think, what did they do wrong? I almost felt like they tried too hard today. You know, they tried too hard with the bat. Just when they should have played some smart cricket, they lost a wicket. And then with the ball, it was like they tried too hard. Wood ran in and bowled extreme pace, but just couldn't get the ball in the right area and made batting simple. And New Zealand just went about their merry way. And it was a treat to watch. And I loved sitting back and listening because the sound of the bat was insane. I suppose that showed the true nature of that wicket, that once the evening lights came on and the dew had kind of gone away, or that tackiness that we spoke about, this is a true Indian wicket. And you've got to be up to the skill. And England just seemed to be completely off the ball today.
Yeah, I like what you said about smart cricket, which now that we've seen both teams bat, we put into perspective. Do you just sense that New Zealand outsmarted them, came better prepared almost, if I could say? They seem like a team that was far more well-oiled today than what we expected of the defending champions?
I suppose. That's how I've always known New Zealand to be. Very street smart, very smart in how they go about everything. They analyze everything. Every decision taken is something that has been studied and worked out and calculated as to why they do that. Whereas England have got almost one approach. It's go hard, attack, 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 and you just carry on attacking, whether it be with bat or ball. If it's not going to work, somewhere it will work. And it shows that, especially here in India, is that when it starts to rain runs or something, it's tough to stop. You know, that's the one place about this. And England experienced that tonight, that you can go as hard as you want, but you have to have some kind of other plan. And they just looked like they didn't have another plan.
Did the chasing aspect help though in any way for New Zealand? Here it looks like with 280 in 37 overs, even 350 was on the cards for a chase, but did it get any easier for them second innings?
No, it did, certainly. The wicket certainly looked better. And like Dale mentioned, I thought England tried too hard. There was nothing for Chris Woakes at the start. Sam Curran did get a couple of maiden overs, but it was not enough. And if you look at even Joss Buttler, I mean, the whole England's team, after a while, sort of looked listless. I mean, they were just going through the motion. And I thought, you know, someone like a Joe Root could have come in, a Livingston could have come in early. I know it was still, you know, raining 4s and 6s, but they had options. They could have tried spinners to come on a bit early. Like he mentioned, Mark Wood ran in and bowled just too quick and just kept bowling that short ball and just fell in the trap of these two left-handers. So I felt that, yeah, they were trying too hard. They were expecting that, no, this is not us. It has to change. But these two batters just took the wind out of England today.
I mean, I'm not getting carried away with one result, but you could almost flip it around. Let's say New Zealand had found their way to 282. You almost feel like they would have come out making that as hard to get as possible. Now, can you put that in perspective? Am I sort of figuring this out?
No, I fully agree with you. I think if New Zealand had batted first and scored 280 something or whatever it is, I think that England would have potentially have gotten there, but it would have been a difficult chase.
Yes.
New Zealand would have made it hard for them. But England seemed to have like a one-dimensional way of thinking, and it didn't work for tonight. And they just stuck to it. And it's, look, I'd speak about England right now, but like, let's just talk about those two batters quickly. They did bat superbly.
100%.
They batted wonderfully, but they were also gifted a lot of freebies. There was a lot of easy deliveries to essentially face. A lot of balls hit straight down the ground, which is right under the eyes. A lot of balls cut through that point area, which means that there's width, and a lot of pulls, which means that the wicket wasn't scary in sense of pace or demons in sense of going sideways. So they batted wonderfully, but made easy by England.
100%. Let's talk about them more in detail, though. Devon Conway and Rachin Ravindra, that is as good a start to the World Cup as you could have had. And yet, it should come as no surprise, especially when we talk about Conway. Sometimes I think when we say these things, oh, Conway is going to have a great World Cup. Conway is definitely going to get runs. You almost think of putting the curse on him, and it's not going to happen. But the expectation, the almost inevitability that of course Conway will get runs, it seemed like such a foreseeable thing that it's happened in this fashion. What does it tell you about Devon Conway?
Yeah, he's so consistent, and he knows his game really well. He assesses the conditions very quickly and then plays accordingly. And like I mentioned, he's a good player of spin, one of the best players that I've seen, not just using the depth of the crease, but also stepping out to the spinner, and uses both the sweep and the reverse sweep, which extremely difficult for a spinner to bowl at someone like a Devon Conway. And then once he gets set in, he plays long. I mean, we saw that today. We've seen that before. Even in a T20 game, he bats deep. He looks to take the game till the end, and that's something that you have to give credit to Devon Conway. He's just grown in stature.
Yeah, and that's a big 100. That's a daddy 100, isn't it? 152 of 121 with 22 fours. They've ended up hitting, what, 19 fours and 3 sixes, so 22 boundaries. Between him and Ravindra, that's 38 boundaries in 37 overs.
Yeah,
that's England's game played to them.
Yeah. And just another big thing is that, both those guys fielded their full 50 overs. Wicket was lost early, so essentially they were on the field for the entire
Ravindra's
game.
bowled 10 overs.
He bowled 10 overs. Yeah. It's a true, I applaud them for their fitness, and their concentration. World Cup, first game of the World Cup, and they were out there the whole day. I watched Quinny de Kock bat the other day, and he did field keep for 50 overs, but he got 80 odd in that game, and he looked exhausted, and these conditions, it just shows you how tough these conditions are on your body. So both these hundreds are huge hundreds.
Rachin Ravindra as well, too, for a young man just early in his international career itself, Anil, and high praise from you. We've seen him have the other game when he had to save a test match. And sure, there are nerves. I don't know at what point he was told that Kane Williamson's not fit, so you're going to be playing. That's a nice way to respond.
Yeah, but I think New Zealand sort of wanted him to plan, or they planned for him to sort of use him in this role, because they did open the batting with him in that warm-up game against Pakistan, where he scored a brilliant 90 or 97, I think it was. And probably Kane Williamson was, it was known to the New Zealand think tank that he won't start off this World Cup from this game. So yes, in that sense, they've really planned well and prepared Ravindra to take that top spot, and he responded beautifully. Yeah. And he bowled. I mean, it was tough for his bowling. I mean, he did pick up a wicket, important wicket of Brook, but this effort with the bat will also help his confidence when he comes on to bowl in the next game.
Yeah, Anil calls him a pleasure to watch, compares him to Yuvraj Singh. Boys played 15 tests and internationals, in fact 33 internationals if you count his T20 as. That's just about it. But what makes you, what do you admire most about the way Rachin Ravindra bats?
I think just the maturity that he showed today, and also he didn't show any fear. Like if the ball was there to be hit, he hit it,
Yes.
It was early on where I was watching, I think I was eating something, I don't know, and then all of a sudden, bang, he just hit one back over the side screen, huge six. So wonderful timing, as you say, Yuvraj Singh timing, but also a young man at that age, first World Cup, you can sometimes second guess yourself on those type of deliveries. I can't remember exactly which ball it was, but in my mind I was like, oh, that was gutsy, It's gutsy to play that shot. So that's something else that I admire about him. Some of the guys might just go, oh, you know what, I'll knock it for one, or I'll hit it down the ground, or whatever it was. He's like, no, I'm taking this on, and did that throughout his whole innings.
Yeah, and comfortable against everything, pretty much. Sam Curran did get it to move a little bit early, They introduced Moeen Ali, presumably with 2 off-spinners, but 2 left-handers, but bring in the off-spinner, but doesn't seem to have any glaring weakness, at least after what we saw today.
No, I think he's very compact, very elegant, has a lot of time, even with Mark Wood bowling at 150 plus. He was hitting that to the stands when he bowled short and quick. So yes, he has all the things that is needed for a top order player. I don't think he generally bats at this position, but he's done exceptionally well for a first game in the World Cup.
So Kane Williamson must wait his turn now when he's fit.
Well, he can actually. You know, we're joking about it, but
not good enough to get into the New Zealand team.
No, we don't need you.
Sit a little bit longer. But you know, with an injury like that, on a serious note, with an injury like that, you don't want to rush back, and it's important for him to make sure that he's going to be 100% fit. And you know, New Zealand can actually afford to have him sit back now. Because
100%.
when the guys are doing this, you know you're okay.
Yeah.
So you're okay, and you can carry him for a little bit longer. And you know, in 2019, I remember when I went to the World Cup. I hate talking about myself, but I had a shoulder injury, and there was only a certain period that I could stay there for until I realized that somebody had to replace me to be play a role for that South African team. And Kane might have that thought in his head before this game, but today he's like, I've extended that by 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, excellent, because if they had a batting collapse today or the batting didn't look right, suddenly Williamson's almost playing when he's 60-70% and saying, I've got to get in. So this augurs so well for New Zealand and their World Cup campaign. Quick chat to just wrap up England though, as we go back to what they missed, what they must learn from this. Is it this kind of game that perhaps Ben Stokes was requested to come out of retirement for? Big World Cup game, tricky surface. How much did they miss it?
Oh yes, massive, because of the experience that he brings in and the quality that he has. And he sort of controls that 50 overs for England, and yeah, they're going to miss it. It was important that he started off. Now, England will say, look, Ben Stokes, we need you for the next game. Come what may, you need to be playing, because today, you know, I did mention this. England played Netherlands, and India's game was washed out. In Indian conditions, they didn't get enough sort of practice, whereas New Zealand had 2 quality bowling attacks
very good point.
coming at them. South Africa and
Pakistan.
then Pakistan. So that certainly helped New Zealand, and we could see that. Whereas when England batted, they didn't look like they were in control. Yes, there were a few good shots, but mostly of bad deliveries, not necessarily saying, okay, here I'm ready to take you on, which England's approach has always been. Whereas today, I thought they were a little bit circumspect, maybe because of the pitch, maybe because it was the first game of the World Cup. So they need to certainly get their act together, because their bowling attack is not the greatest. Yes, they certainly have 100%. Options, but they're not the greatest bowling attack. So they need these 350 scores if they have to really defend.
Yeah, when you speak of cricket smarts, you almost look back at that England innings and you could foresee what Tom Latham's problem would have been. He had to get 20 overs today out of Neesham, Ravindra and Phillips. And by the time he had to get that, I mean, it's one thing that Phillips has got 2 wickets and even Ravindra managed to get Harry Brook out. But somewhere do you sense that they missed a trick over here? This was an opposition that you should have been able to get.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when you get to the highest level, there's only this really small opportunities in the game that if you miss those opportunities, it ends in you failing big time, you know, losing the game and so on. If the game is a test match, you might be able to recover from something like that. But like today, like you miss those opportunities. Glenn Phillips gets 2 wickets in 7 balls in 2 overs or whatever it is. There's little changes like that. How Tom Latham managed to get those overs out of his bowlers without much damage versus the way that England played them. And there it is right there. You're failing your exam.
Anyone want to revisit or revise their top 4s?
You know, I had New Zealand, so I'm okay.
I would say that, you know, if England doesn't change their thinking and adapt to these conditions, they might struggle, actually, you know, from what I saw today. But they're too good a team, and this tournament is too long, so they will prove me wrong in the following weeks. But if they continue in that vein, then sure.
But I'm guessing this also gets the rest of the World Cup a bit, you know, that invincibility that England, invincibility is a strong word, but that you could almost say the reputation that they come in with, which can be a bit intimidating. They have Bangladesh next at Dharamshala, and you think, that's 2 points for England. And all of a sudden, Bangladesh watch this game, maybe some of the other teams, and they go, you know what, we can beat them. Do you sense that this kind of result does that to the team?
Certainly, it makes everyone sit up a little bit more and go, yeah, you know, that's one team that we can actually challenge if we are smart on the day and we play our best cricket, definitely.
I don't know how much you rely on these sort of stats and whatnot, but I believe I was reading something that our statsmen were just serving out, that the first 100 of the World Cup is usually scored by the team. In the last 4 editions, the team goes on to win the World Cup. So it happened with Viru, it's happened I think in 07 in Australia, Aaron Finch in 15, and I'm guessing it was an Englishman in 19, but you believe in those sorts of things?
Yeah, if you're a New Zealander, then you would like to believe it. But generally, you play the first game in India, you expect one of the batting sides to get 100. And today it was 2 brilliant innings from Conway and Rachin Ravindra. Both these batters batted beautifully. So, yeah, if you're a New Zealand fan and if you're rooting for New Zealand, then you would certainly think that, oh, hope it's true.
Is it a safe call that Devon Conway is the player of the match over here, or are you tempted with Ravindra for the bowling duties he also had? I love giving it to bowlers.
I love giving it to bowlers, but you know, how often does a guy score 150 in an ODI? I suppose it's got to go to Conway.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Conway, yeah.
All right, that is pretty much it. What a good start to the tournament. Not the close game we were hoping and expecting, but it's quite a story, this New Zealand hammering England. Big thank you to Anil Kumble and Dale Steyn. Plenty more from them, as the World Cup has only just begun. It has begun in perhaps the storyline and script that may maintain. This is a tough World Cup to predict. It's a tough format. Defending champions have realized that early, but you'd rather lose one early than lose one late. And New Zealand, who's going to dare to write them off? So it's been a terrific start for Tom Latham's side, for Kane Williamson. Let's hope that he recovers soon from a New Zealand point of view, and let's see how England responds against Bangladesh in a few days in Dharamshala. That's all we've got time for. So make sure you download the ESPN Cricket for mobile app. I'm sure there'll be plenty written and said the aftermath of this game. As it turns out, we did get a decent crowd towards the end of the game. Perhaps a few more seats could have been filled at the start, but I'm told official attendance was 47,000, so that's not bad. It still looks like it looks empty in that stadium because 1/3 of it is only full, but that's just how it is at the Ahmedabad stadium. I'm sure it'll be packed once India and Pakistan get underway in a few days. We'll see you tomorrow for Pakistan v Netherlands. Join us then for Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday.
Stunning looks, then swift.